But I'm curious all your thoughts, because there was a lot that went down over the past, 5 days in the Vanderpump Rules world.
Well, yeah, and I think the dates are floating around maybe as like late May, but you know what we have to talk about before we get to Stassi, because Stassi has weighed in on Ariana and some mean girl.
Yes.
We have to talk about Howie Mandel. We haven't talked about that yet from the last week or the week before.
I watched, I mean, I could give you a whole quick tutorial. I watched the entire thing.
Please.
I could tell you all the highs, all the lows, everything I loved, everything I hated. First of all, I think Tom Sandoval, it was genius that he went on Howie Mandel. Why is that? First of all, he got ahead of the story. We are hearing, you and I are hearing the rumors that he and Raquel are destroyed at the reunion. James Kennedy comes for him. I mean, I don't know that anyone cares about that, but that they are destroyed at the reunion. So what better way to get ahead of the story, to long form, because that's what podcast is brilliant at, get yourself out there and do it with someone that is team you, which is Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel was so unprepared for this interview. It was laughable. And I'm sorry, I love Howie. How he came out, which I thought was a bad move, and tried to defend himself for not being, he didn't need to be prepared. I mean, look, even if you weren't a fan, Howie Mandel should have furiously been reading the stories and being like, hey, man, I don't follow this, but obviously you and I are friends. I've been doing some reading. Like, what do you think about X? What do you think? None of that. Howie Mandel was looking at his daughter the entire time. God bless her, clueless. And it just, hey, you're such a great guy. For Tom Sandoval, genius. What a place to be. Number 2, I didn't realize that Tom Sandoval has a men's skincare line at Target. Noted. Howie Mandel was almost an investor, but they didn't get into why Howie didn't invest. I wanted to hear more about that. Number 3, we learn Ariana punches him in the face after she finds his phone in the Raquel video. Fair enough. I think most people would do that to someone they'd been with 9 years. Here's the thing. Again, I thought it was genius by Sandoval. He basically says, for a very long time, he was trying to dump her. They had gone to therapy. He was the one that asked that she go to therapy. Like a lot of us, she has her own hangups. She doesn't want to admit fault. She doesn't want to apologize in the relationship. I mean, the truth of the matter is, when somebody cheats in a relationship, I've been the cheater. I've cheated on people. Okay. I'm speaking from experience. There's something wrong in the relationship. Okay. Communication is broken down. You're not really into the person. They're not really into you. I mean, there's a reason. And sometimes you can be madly in love and there's just a communication issue, right? Or somebody's got a sex addiction.
Or
there's
like
something
Dean, like Tori and Dean cheated. He said, it's not you, it's me. I'm insecure. And Jax always used to, when Jax and Brittany, when Jax cheated, he said, it's me. I'm insecure, blah, blah, blah. Go on.
People are young. I mean, they're not young. They're 40. So there's no excuse for that. But I do think what Sandoval was getting to is that they have had problems for a very, very long time. In fact, he says he would even FaceTime with Raquel, flirting in the room with Ariana. And she was like oblivious to what was happening. Now, I will say this. At the end of the day, Tom is a little bit of a pussy, because you should have just sat her down. And I know it's not that easy, because they do own this $3 million house. They still own it. He revealed that to Howie. He says they don't know
something.
Oh, well, he added it. He rounded up.
Lost in the weeds, David. Lost in the weeds. Not the point, sweetheart. Go on.
$3 billion.
I'm like checking myself. Go on.
They're going to eventually sell, but they are intertwined, right? So I want to give Sandoval some grace. At the same time, I do want to say, you're a pussy. You should have sat her down, whether it was in therapy with the help of the therapist or some night when you're drunk. I am not in love with you anymore. We have to end this, which he never really did. He ends up getting in this relationship with Raquel, and then obviously it all goes to hell. 2 other things that were bizarre about the interview. At the end, Howie Mandel, a legendary OCD. I mean, have you had Howie on your show before?
I feel like but honey, you're
working on it.
I told my team, like, whatever you're fucking doing, pull, your finger out of your a-hole and stop pursuing the 12,000 people that you were pursuing this morning at 9 a.m. And why have you called Howie? Have you called the daughter? I will take them together. I wouldn't prefer the daughter alone, but I would take her alone, like all of the above. Have we reached out to Howie, guys? And this is why I fire people on my team all day. Go on.
They shave Tom Sandoval's mustache at the end, which is very strange because Howie is such an OCD fanatic. He gets gloves on. He's like oddly close. To me, I feel a little duped. Like, how much OCD do you really have if you're near this man's face, even with gloves and a razor, because they could be spitting on you? Anyhow, there was that. And then there was one other point. Why is my mind a sieve, that I thought was really fascinating about the
him
whole
and Raquel are on a break. They say they're on a break. No, I know this because I recently appeared on, I have a new position at California Live. For all of you in California, tune into California Live. I am one of the 2 new entertainment experts. We had to talk about this on there. So that's how I know this. That's a shameless plug for my new gig.
Oh, I know what I wanted to just say this last point, and then I want to know your thoughts. If you thought it was a good move for Tom. I thought it was a genius move because Tom's going to get destroyed at this reunion, and Andy does small clips. This gave Tom a side of it with a guy that was completely his ally. But can we stop every fucking interview now, whether it's with Tom, whether it's Schwartzy or Howie? Everybody's going, oh, if you see Tom, give him a hug. Come up to him, give him a hug. Are you kidding? Why are we telling people that probably want to assault this man to touch him? Like, how about, hey, if you're a supporter, a wave from afar? Like, if I were Tom Sandoval, I'd be like, guys, I'm good. I don't need any hugs. Like, what? They're always like, Howie's like, you know what? If you see this guy, give him the biggest hug. I'm like, oh my God, stop encouraging people to practically assault this man.
I would like to know. I mean, I'm going to see Tom Sandoval in the extras. I mean, Melissa and Joe Gorga were just heckled at Joe's comedy during the Q&A. We have a Q&A tomorrow at our live show. But they were heckled. You know, people stand up like, you know, are you going to be fired? You know, your whole storyline is this just happened. Your whole storyline is Teresa. I'd like to know if Tom Sandoval is being heckled like during the meet and greet at his This is a tour in May. Like Tom Sandoval's on tour where the public has access. You can buy a meet and greet, I think, for $100 and go up and be like, hey, dude, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm Team Ariana. Like, is there security at this meet and greet? And is he traveling with security? I'm not even trying to be funny, right? Like, people come up to you in the streets, right?
People are so crazy about this. Yes. I think he does need security. I would get it if I were him. I mean, the last thing is he seems to me as a man that was completely over the relationship. And again, I'm not justifying. You should always be honest with people when you cheat. Actually, I'm going to be on our friend Carlos King's podcast, and we were talking about how we both were cheaters, and then we like told the person, because you have to be decent to the other human being, even if you're not in love with them. And I got the impression from this interview, Tom Sandoval is way over this. He's more hurt about his investors than he is. He loves Ariana. I'm sure that's true as a friend way, as he's been with someone for 9 years. But I think Sandoval, honestly, and Schwartzy are really unbothered, because I think Tom Sandoval was way, way, way over it, is what I gathered.
I think so.